Hello everybody and welcome to a home improvement edition of Same Bet. Today we're going to tear down my table, rebuild it, and put it back together. Alright, so it's long overdue for me to move my table and give it a deep cleaning. I don't have enough room back in between the wall and the back side of the table to really move around. And I've recently got a couple of new lights to help help with my lighting. I just don't have enough room. So yeah, there you see all my camera equipment. That's a lot to put around. So it's time to move it. And it's also very filthy. You're going to see a couple of pictures here that will show you why this was long overdue. All right, so what the next picture you're going to see is the end of the table. Take a look at the where the felt meets the wood, and you're going to see a bunch of little ripples, and that's where you can tell that my layout wasn't very tight. And if your layout or your underlayment is loose, that's going to impact the bounce. You're not going to get a very good quality bounce. And also you can see it's sawdust. The bottom of my rails or my side rails, they just crumble apart. They move and just created an immense amount of sawdust around it. I couldn't get a vacuum to keep it clean. So that's one of the reasons that we want to do this today. Okay, here you see on the left hand side I have single cell foam, and on the right side I have a layer of flannel. I thought I had enough flannel to go across, but I didn't, so that's evidence of it. And there's my layout that I machine washed and let it hang overnight to dry. Alright, so now we're going to take the rest of the table apart before we start putting it back together. So let me go back and talk about the underlayments that I was using. So on the left hand side of the table, I had a layer of vinyl and a layer of single cell foam on top of it. Gave it a bit of a bouncy feel and touch. The thing is, I never use that side of my table, and if I'm going to a casino with a bouncy table, I'm not going to be very well practiced for it, and I'm okay with that. When I put things back together, we're just going to do flannel on top of the vinyl all the way across. And I purchased wide flannel this time, so it covers the entire table and the entire width of the table. So the length and the width will all be covered. And you can see what I'm doing here. I used sawhorses as my base. I didn't build a real table. And partly that's because I don't know what I'm doing. It's a wonder I actually got this table to work in the first place. But I went with the easy solution instead of the hard solution and used these sawhorses. The downside of that is these sawhorses are not tall enough to be a casino height. The sawhorses plus my double layered deck of 3/4 inch plywood brought it up to 27 inches. Now that is a minimum. I've heard anywhere from 27 to 29, but most casinos that I play at are probably 28 or 29. However, when I'm at home practicing and I practice for an hour, 2 hours, I don't want to stand on my tiptoes that whole time, so I'm okay with it being down a little bit lower and accepting that it's not casino perfect. All right, so we're putting things back together. I want to get my lights out, check them out in a couple of different places, make sure that I have plenty of room now to work with. Hey, real quick, while we're resetting all of the bets, take this opportunity to hit that subscribe button down below. Don't forget to ring the bell and get notified of any new videos that I'm putting out. Thanks. All right, time to screw the deck down to the planks that go across the sawhorses. And we're going to see the first problem that I'm going to run into. You can see it here on the camera. There's a lip in between those two decks, those two sets of plywood. Now in hindsight, I actually saw that when I started watching this video again. It was that way on my old video too, or my old table too. I just didn't realize it was that bad. Okay, and here I'm finding that the holes, the pre-drilled holes that I had from the last time, aren't lining up with how it is this time. So I've got something not quite right as I was putting things back together. That's okay. I figured it out, and we're going to start putting in a few new holes to secure the last board. Put them in on both sides. All right, now it's time to figure out what in the world am I going to do. Oops, not yet. Still have one to go. Trying to figure it out. What am I going to do about that lip? I know it's not near my landing zone. It's not really going to impact my toss at all. Here you go. There's a great picture of how big that gap really is. So I know it's there, and I know it's going to bother me. And I talked to my friend Bird Dog, and he gave me an idea. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to use it. He said get a piece of plywood, or I mean a piece of scrap wood, put it in between the two, and screw them down. I didn't have any left over, but I did have one of those shims that you saw right there, a couple of them, and I ended up putting those shims in on one side of it to raise the one in the middle. And it's not perfect, but after I put the vinyl on, it's barely noticeable, and it's much better than it was before. I'm happy with it. The table's level. I'm good. All right, since I did drill some new holes to put things in, we're going to take some sandpaper, make sure all my screws are down below the surface, and just clean things up just a little bit. Yes, I am using my vacuum cleaner to pick up the dust. All right, it's time to put that vinyl out. Now you see a little bitty red tool that I have right there. Highly recommend that. It was only $35 from Walmart. It's a little electric stapler. I put, I don't know, hundreds of staples in as we put this thing back together. And I know from in the past using those little manual staplers this is well worth the investment. Spend the money on it, even if you just do it one time. All right, so we're going to pull things as tight as we possibly can. And here you can see that flannel. I ended up having to unfold it. It's folded together, so I've got more than enough flannel to work with to cover the entire table. Put the layout back on, and this time I put the layout closer to me on the front of the table. I had a lot of hard time reaching those place bets, but now with with it pulled a little bit closer to the wall, it might look a little bit odd on video, but I'll be able to reach the boxes a little bit better. All right, here we go. First throw.
Here, and then this I gave you too. This is in your outfit.
And dice are out.
Sorry, that's what this remains.
639. At least it wasn't a 7. At least it wasn't a 7. All right, so my table is back together. I'm back in action and ready to make some more videos. So as you can see, I am not a master carpenter, and you don't need to be. This is perfectly suitable for testing out strategies, maybe some dice grips and dice sets. It's not a casino quality table by any stretch of the imagination, but it works for me. I hope you enjoyed it. If you have any suggestions on how to make this a little bit better, please leave me a comment. I'm always willing to do something. But I do think that next time I will probably buy a table rather than continue to try to build on this one. All right, everybody. Thank you for watching. Appreciate it.